Hi and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we'll see more about exception handling, how to handle different type of exceptions in a real-time project, which is very necessary thing. So you must have come across the two most common type of exception in all the RPA process, which is the system exception and the other is the business rule exception. So over here, I'll be showcasing the same thing with a very easy example, and the method which I'll be showcasing would be universally applied to all your project. So what this particular flow will do this thing that it would open a browser and would open amazon.com, and then as we know that we need to enter in the ID and the password, but the trick here is that I'm entering the input username, I'm entering the username, and then I have to enter a password. But before that, as if you remember that there is a continue button, you need to either press on that continue button or you need to click on enter to move to the password page. So if I just go to sign in, so as you can see here that you need to first enter your email or mobile phone number, then you click on continue, then you move to the next page wherein you can enter the password. And in this workflow, as you can see, I am entering the email ID, but I'm not entering or continue, I'm not entering clicking on continue or sending a hotkey, enter hotkey to move to the password page. So once the bot has finished writing the email ID, it would look for the field, for the text box to enter the password. And when it would not find it, it would throw an exception. So that's how it works. And if I just run it, so because we have not handled the exception, it would be an abrupt end to our process, and we would have that pop-up here on our screen saying that the password has not, the selector has not been found, because there was no password screen on visible wherein the bot can enter the password. So that's the error which we'll be seeing, and that's because we haven't handled the exception well in our process. And once we handle it well, then we won't be able to see that error anymore. So let's wait for the project to run so that we can see that error, and then also we see how to handle it. It's taking too long to run. Okay, it has now started the execution. So it's opening amazon.com and then would be entering the mail ID. So it has entered the mail ID, and now it has entered the password on the same screen and did not throw an error, and that's because this selector must also be getting validated here itself. Okay, so as you can see, the password page or the password thing was also getting validated. So let me just click on continue, and let me move to the next page to find the unique selector for the password page, which does not get validated here. Okay, so I hope the error, or you could say the problem which was there in our code, is clear to you. It is that we thought that it would throw an error because the password thing won't appear, but the problem is that this selector, the password selector, is even getting validated on the first login screen as well. So that's why this error. And now let's try finding a unique thing which does not get validated on the previous screen. So if we see ID, most probably would not get validated. So if we now go back here to this screen, okay, go to amazon.com's homepage. Okay, now let's check if this selector even, so it is not getting validated. So this is what the selector which we need. And with the help of this selector, we would get a selector not found exception error. Okay, let me save this thing. Let me close Chrome and let me try again executing the same file. So this is also one of the, you could say, a problem which you may find in real-time projects, and you need to take care of this, that the selector which you are making does not get validated on any other screen. So this, you can consider it to be one of the best practice which you should be following, or you should be very cautious while you take a selector or any of the type into or any of the click. You should keep this thing in mind, because this may be a reason of error or bug in your code if that selector is also getting validated when it's not even actually present. So it would take 30 seconds time, because that's the timeout, and now we have got that error that could not find the UI element corresponding to this selector. So that is selector not found exception. And how do we now handle it? So as of now, because we're not having any business rule exception, we can treat it to be a system exception or a selector not found exception, or we can even consider that selector not found exception to be the business exception. Usually that's not the case. Also, to make it more clear to you, whenever we have all this error that the selector is not found or the browser has included completely, all these things, all these scenarios come under system exception only. And we will be adding a catch. So now suppose if we catch it as a selector not found exception, as you can see under UiPath.core, there is a selector not found exception. And in case if we have a selector not found exception, we do not want our program to abruptly end. Instead, we would be adding a log message. We would be informing a support team about the error, and we would want to proceed further, or we want to send a mail, or we want to terminate the process, not abruptly but smoothly. So selector element not found is our error. And in case if there is any other error, usually it's always recommended that you have a system.exception in your catch, so that anything which does not get catched in all other exception gets caught here. So exception in, you could say Amazon login. And what is the exception also, you can catch it here, exception. And when you do this and you put a dot, so all these things which you get here is the property of the exception class: the data, the help link, the H result, the inner exception, the message. So exception is a class, or you can say a method, and putting a dot, you get all the properties of the exception. So this is, and in the finally, as you all know, and as the name suggests, you can put all other things that you have to execute, no matter whether there is an exception or there isn't any exception. So if there's anything like closing of all the applications, so even if you have completed everything, so your bot had to do this, that the bot has to log into Amazon, place an order, and then log out, or something like that. So it doesn't matter that whether the order was placed or whether the order wasn't placed. At the end, when the bot is, closing the program or reaching to the end of the program, it's a good practice that you close all the applications you're using. So in the finally, what you can do is you can have a kill process which kills the Chrome. So let us just drag this here, and let's give the process name to be Chrome. Okay. So, and now let's execute it. So now what would happen is that it would search for a selector not found exception. If the selector not found exception isn't there, so as of now, when I run, so it would run. It has opened another instance of the Chrome because obviously I did not kill it. And now there would be a 30-second timeout because that's the default timeout for all the activities, which is 30 seconds. So it would wait for 30 seconds, and post that it would not show a pop-up on our screen like it showed earlier. Instead it would slowly, smoothly end, logging the error. If we do not want to log it, or we even want to log it and we even want to notify it, so we can even add a send email activity so that accordingly the notification is sent to the concerned team. So you can see a selected element not found. Now if I do not want to capture a selector not found exception, instead I want to go with another type of exception, I can even do that thing, that instead of selector not found exception, I put in another exception. So instead of even select or not found exception, you can even have a business exception or any such exception. Now, what we can do here is that, okay, let's do this thing, that we want to retry. Whenever there is an exception, we want this thing to be retried. So if I just surround it with a retry scope, what would happen is, if I drag in a retry scope here and I put this entire thing into the retry scope, okay, here, okay, so I put this entire thing into the retry scope, and now if this thing fails, and let me also do this thing that I decrease the timeout because we anyways know that it would fail, so why to wait for 30 seconds, let's just wait for 1 second. So now what would the retry scope do? Let's suppose there is a scenario that you're opening a browser and that browser may take a lot of time to load, and it's intermittent. The time it takes, it may load earlier and it may take a lot of time to load. So it's better that if we put it on retry scope instead of just throwing the error and closing it, it's better if we retry. So what if we retry 2 times, and then there is also a retry interval, that what is the time between the 2 retries you want to take. I say I want to just take 1 second, and within 1 second it should again retry. Okay, so if you do not put any condition here, what would happen, that whenever there is any exception, it would retry. But if you put a condition which is that you do not want to retry based on whether there is an exception or there is not, but you want to retry based on certain scenarios. Suppose you want to retry this thing when a particular value or a variable is true or false, or whenever the value of the variable is 3 or the counter is 10. Based on such scenario, if you want to retry, you can even drop in a condition here. Also, there is one activity which is true, check true and check false. So that is also what you can drag in here and try checking that whether a particular variable is true or false, and based on that condition you want to retry, or otherwise you can just simply retry like that. And now in this case, let me debug it and showcase to you that how this thing, clubbing all these things together, the retry scope and the try catch thing, how this entire things work together, so that we have a better clarity on its functionality. So now it is retrying. Let us just go into it, and let me step over this thing because we would anyway get a error here. So let's wait for the error to pop up. So it has entered the ID thing, and now it would throw an error because it would not get a screen to enter in the password. And let me click on step into. So it has come here, it has come to action, and now it will retry this thing again. So it has come back again to open browser. So that's where the retry scope has done its job. And let me just again step over so that it would again try to do the same thing, replicate the same thing, and would get an error. Let me go back. So we have got the error here, and it would again come here, and now it has retried, and there is an error in the retry scope because it has already retried and it could not reach to the conclusion it wants to. And now because we do not have a condition, it would come out, it would then come to catch, and it would go directly to the selector not found exception. So that is how you club everything up and make use of the exception handling, and that's how you do a good exception handling, so that if there is any scenario which can be resolved while retrying, it's better if you retry it, if you put a retry scope instead of just throwing the exception and getting the control go to the catch block and then from there go to the finally block. So as of now, because we had this thing kill process here in finally, but because I stopped the program, it did not kill, but finally gets executed every time. So that's all for this video. We'll be covering more in the upcoming videos. Till then, stay tuned and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel.